Hi, friends. Good morning. We all heard the phrase health is wealth. But what do we know about true health? Today, the internet is replete with information and there's more confusion than clarity. I myself tried different diets and finally stumbled upon the Mucusless Diet System. And that's changed my life as well as that of my family. Very excited and honored to be here with Professor Spira, the founder of Mucus-free Life, jazz trombonist, ethnomusicologist, as well as the most sought after expert on Professor Arnold Harrod's Mucusless Diet System. Professor, tell us more about your journey.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And growing up, I was constantly sick. I got to the point where I was 300 pounds. I was on pharmaceutical medications for allergies since I was 7 years old. They diagnosed me with sleep apnea at the age of 18, and I was wearing a CPAP unit, oxygen mask at night. And the doctors told me that if I failed to wear it, that I could potentially die in my sleep.
Oh, wow.
So I was in bad shape. I was a bad overeater and just really didn't feel good. Chronic migraine headaches all the time, bouts of hemorrhoids every year. I'd have bronchitis for a bunch of years in a row. So not very good. When I was young, I was raised often by my grandma and my aunt because my mom was really sick. She was in and out of the hospitals and nursing homes constantly. So I developed a mother-son bond with my grandma. At the age of 10, my grandma passed away, and that changed something inside of me. I used to be just this like little love sponge kid, and I was that little kid that go hug everybody and that kind of thing. And after my grandma passed, I got a lot more introverted. I didn't want to be touched or wasn't as much wanting to talk to people. A week after my grandma passed away, my mother had a heart attack and then went and had a double bypass surgery or triple bypass surgery. And soon after that, she had both of her legs amputated because her feet started to get black and gangrenous from diabetes. And then about a year and 5 months after that, she passed away. So I would go and visit her all the time in these nursing homes and hospitals. And I just felt like something was wrong. This environment didn't feel right. Folks were just really in such bad shape, and I just had a philosophical question, like, is this really how things are supposed to be for humanity? This system just seemed like everybody just accepts it. Oh, you get old and then we're going to throw you over here in this facility and you'll pass away, and that's just how things are. And I didn't accept that, so I went and got on this journey to try to find the solution for human illness, for human suffering. And that journey led me to learn about the Mucusless Diet Healing System. And that was the first book I read. I read all kinds of books, all these different things, all the philosophers and different mysticisms and all these religions and all this stuff. And once I read the Mucusless Diet Healing System by Professor Arnold Hari, that answered all of my questions about why we suffer the way we do, why humanity is the way it is, why the behavior of humans is so poor in some cases, and why we suffer and don't feel good, where it's not that there's some divine situation or it's blaming on a god or that, no, it's what we are putting in our bodies. Our bodies are designed not to eat most of the foods that people eat, but to eat a very specific diet. And when you get onto that specific diet, then your ailments can go away, your body starts to heal itself, and you open up a whole new lease on life.
That's awesome. This was, in fact, the book that caught my eye as well and changed my life. Tell us more about Professor Arnold Harrod's healing system, as well as the famous formula, which I see a lot of your teammates where we quote to P minus O. Tell us more about that.
So Professor Arnold Hari, he was a German healer. He was born in the late 1800s, and he himself was declared incurable with Bright's disease, inflammation of the kidneys. And he had went to all these different doctors. His parents had means, and family had means, so he was able to go to all these different doctors in Europe, and they all said, we can't really do anything for you. Then he started looking into natural healing in that time and eating more vegetarian-like diet, and that helped a little bit, but that didn't totally cure him. And he got to a point where he was just so frustrated. He was like, I'm going to stop eating, and just whatever happens, happens. And what ended up happening, he stopped eating, and he noticed his body was getting better and better. So he started to put together other things that he had learned in his time in the vegetarian type of sanitariums, and transitioned his body back to, well, not even back to health that was way better than what he had before. And so the brilliance of Eric, he had went through this experience. He saw this. He's like, you know what can this be repeatable? Can I help other people do the same thing? And he started working at a sanitarium, opened up his own sanitarium in Europe. And so he ultimately worked with thousands of people who were declared incurable, and he would put them on a particular fasting protocol, dietary protocol, get into things like colon irrigation, enemas, get into sunbathing, herbology, just the parts of naturopathy, natural healing. And time and time again, the people that were declared incurable would heal. In it was like 1914, he came over to the United States, Southern California, for one of those big exhibitions. World War I started up, so he couldn't go back to Germany. So he stayed in Southern California. He befriended a man named Fred Hirsch, who had also been declared incurable with a disease of the Achilles in his foot. Arnold Ehret fasted him for about a month and 100% healed him. Fred Hirsch ended up living to be, I think, 96. He took over and continued Ehret's legacy. Then they opened a sanitarium in the United States, and same thing. All these people would come incurable, and they would put them through the program and come out of that, and they'd be healed. So the Mucusless Diet Healing System was written as a textbook to go along with the training that he started giving to future practitioners, the people that he wanted to train to be able to help administer the Mucusless Diet Healing System to people. He was training them. He writing articles and how-to things, and that became the Mucusless Diet Healing System. Then passed away in a very questionable way. Many of us were very fishy because nobody saw it happen. He had just given a lecture on fasting and grape cure to a sold-out audience at a hotel ballroom. The story is it was slick and there was cobblestone and he's walking. They say he slipped and he fell back on the back of his head. No one saw that. And at the time, the meat, the dairy industry, the burgeoning medical industries were not very kind to Ehret. They wanted to try to silence him, and definitely didn't want people doing a sold out, coming and seeing him talk at a sold out event. So needless to say, there's questions about that type of situation. But then Fred Hirsch emerged and kept the book in print until the 1970s, and passed it off to somebody, a man named Alvin Last, who kept it going after that. Professor Arnold Ehret really became a symbol of the so-called back to nature renaissance and back to nature movement that was getting going. Started in the late 1800s in Switzerland and Germany, then came to a lot of those Germans and Swiss folks came to Southern California and created a culture, a back to nature type of culture of people wanting to try to eat a lot of fruit and vegetables, vegetarianism and veganism, all that kind of stuff, and natural healing. And but he was a figurehead of that, a major progenitor of that movement in the United States. That's that. Then we come in decades later. A good friend of mine got introduced to the diet around 1982. When I was born, he really made some innovations in terms of the practice, and his brother Air, aka Willie Smart, and he had got introduced to it by a man named Victor Guthrum years before. Willie Smart is a jazz drummer, and that's how I met him. I was a student at the College Conservatory of Music studying jazz in my freshman year, and I'm 300 pounds, but I would see him at some of these jazz clubs, and he'd go jam sessions, and one day we were at a jam session. They had this buffet, free buffet for the musicians. And so I got this plate, and I just filled it with chicken wings and potato salad and all this stuff. And me and my friend were sitting across from Brother Air eating, and he just had this look on his face like he couldn't hold it back anymore. He had to say something. So he started telling me about this lifestyle that he had led for the past 20 years. It turned out to be Mucusless Diet Healing System. He said, this is what you're looking for. This is the answer to human suffering, the answer to unnecessary premature aging, unnecessary diseases, all of that. And so I was skeptical, but I was intrigued. So I was like, well, let me see this for myself. Let me read it, and then let me do it. Because the only way you're going to know if it is what it is if you do it. Long story short, 6 months later, I'd lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
Overcame all of the ailments I was dealing with, got off the pharmaceutical medication, threw away the CPAP unit, just felt infinitely better, and I haven't looked back.
That is totally amazing. So, last question, in terms of orange juice for the soul, what would be 2 or 3 guidance you would like to give our audience who are looking for the right solution? What kind of little things they can do to change their lives right now?
So the first and foremost, we always recommend get the Mucusless Diet book, read it, whether it's that version, another version, you find it online, whatever. Get yourself a copy of it. We got the audiobooks are available, but you really want to read it and do so with an open mind, because it's going to challenge you. It's going to challenge everything you think you know about nutrition, human physiology, the foundation of human illness, and it's going to provide some answers that, again, they're going to challenge you, but if you give it a chance. Also, don't get too wrapped up in some of the philosophies. There's a number of philosophies. You don't have to believe everything in the book to get started, to start making these changes. Once you read the book, then make out a shopping list. And this is your action steps. Make out the shopping list. Go to the produce section, because most everything that you need is in the produce section. And go have fun. Get a bunch of fruits and vegetables. You'll learn how to combine everything properly, the order that you want to be eating things in. But the main thing is, go get what you need. If you're hardcore and you really are ready to change your life, then go in your kitchen and just start throwing stuff away. Just renovate your kitchen. Throw all the old food away. Open up your refrigerator. Just get a big trash bag and throw it all away. Go to the store, stock up on all the fruits and vegetables that you can get, that you can fit in your vehicle, and bring it back and get going. And of course, you got juicing. You want to get yourself a juicer, and love recommending a daily juicing habit. But first and foremost, you got to start transitioning off of the pus and mucus forming foods, which are the foundation of human illness. There is no acidosis. A lot of people say that all disease is inflammation and acidosis. What's the foundation of that? Pus and mucus forming foods and uneliminated food matter in the body because of constipation. Very beginning of the Mucusless Diet book, Arnold Ehret says that every disease, no matter what name it is known by medical science, is constipation, a clogging up of the entire pipe system of the human body. So that's where we're getting in, and that's where we get to the vitality with power minus obstruction that was mentioned. V equals P minus O is the formula to life. And when you think about it, think about an engine. If you were to take a car engine that takes unleaded gasoline and throw sand in it, how far are you going to go? you're putting the wrong fuel into the engine. But you put the right fuel in, and for the human body, the superior fuel is, first and foremost, is air. Because people know you can go a few days without eating. You can't go 5 minutes without breathing. So oxygen is premium to our lives. And with every breath, we cleanse our body. We're constantly cleansing our body. And that's where we have a paradigm shift into one of elimination. So we're not preoccupied with a lot of these nutritional concepts and theories of getting all these little macronutrients and all these concepts. We say that your body is going to do everything it needs to do and have everything it needs to have when you make sure that the pathways of elimination are as they should be. And so it starts there. And once you start to clean yourself out, and as you go down this road, you got to start getting nasty slime coming out of your body, and mucoid plaque, and crust start to come out your eyes, and mucus coming out of you, all that stuff. And that's a good thing, because that's your body's way of getting rid of what it doesn't need, and that's finite. Once you get rid of enough of the old mess that has been built up since childhood, then you don't have to worry about it. Like a lot of these things,
The body will self-heal.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's absolutely wonderful. Professor, you also have a coaching program I want to mention that my sister, my nephew were all taking. So for those who are serious, there's also an online coaching program that takes you through sort of the lifestyle changes. So with that, thank you so much, Professor Spira. It's been a pleasure knowing you, and thank you so much for everything you've done for us and our health.
Thank you for having me. Love and breath.